or October. I'm not exactly sure. Aiden, you were on the first one, I think. Um, but it's been a few months of sort of processing, working on some things, and I just feel like God is doing such an amazing thing. The more I talk to worship songwriters, the more like I had a 2 hour conversation today with a worship pastor in my area. We were just like talking about songwriting and like the presence of God and like the beauty of coming together and how it can be prayer. And I was just like, this is amazing. So I'm super excited. And I'm really glad that you guys are on this call. I was on a different call last week. I won't like name an organization or anything like that, but th they put out like this, like join this songwriters call. And I was like, let me just see what this is about. I'm just kind of curious. And it was like everything that I don't want this to be. It was like, here's 3 steps you can take to like make it big. And like, do you want to be the next person? And I was just like, this is not what I want to do, you know? So like this call tonight is not about me making a sales pitch. It's not about me trying to get you to cross some line or anything like that. Like there's opportunities, there's things that we can talk about in the future, but this place, I just want it to be a time to connect, to pray together, to talk together, to share where we're at, ask questions, get to know each other. Like it's just a community space. So that's if that makes sense. That's what I wanted it to be. I didn't want it to be something where you felt like you just kind of come in and get your information and then check out. I wanted it to be a place where you show up with like who you are and who God's called you to be, as a songwriter, as a worshiper, as a person, and just share that with the community and begin to grow. And that this is the place where you can just connect with others, right? I know that I've been in worship ministry for like 10 years, not currently leading at a church, but I've led at like 7 churches for some reason. That's kind of how my story has gone. And I know that at many times, almost every single situation I've been in, I have felt, at least to some degree, a little bit isolated, right? Like I didn't have a community around me. Even if I had like friends and community, I didn't have a lot of people who knew exactly kind of how I was wired and how I was thinking, right? And so having relationships outside of my circle was super important for me. So that could be the sole reason to be here tonight. I know that some of you probably are like, I want to write songs. And that's amazing. What you'll find really, really quickly with what I'm doing with Living Liturgy is that the songs are like the last piece, right? It's almost like the songs are an excuse to just talk about worship, all right? Most of the calls that we've done so far, we've talked about the heart of God, we've talked about worship, we talked about the church, but what we're discerning and wrestling with, and the songs that kind of come afterwards. And the best way that I can explain kind of my heart for worship songwriting, and if any of you have gone through the orientation, it's just like a little course. Let me just drop that link because I just want to make sure you have access to that. It's totally free. It's just like a way of me saying everything one time in a way that's clear so I don't just ramble on forever. Um, but you'll see in this, like, it's all about not making songwriting something that's not supposed to be, right? Not making it like about strategy and production, even though I'm a music producer, or about making it big or success. It's about learning how to notice what God's saying and carry that. And it's the best thing. I think another way of saying it was I was talking with my buddy this afternoon, and I was like, we want to start like a songwriting group at our church, and there's a bunch of people who want to write songs. And I was like, honestly, what it should be is not if we did this for a year, it shouldn't be a year and we wrote a bunch of hits and we just like, went for it and we just, everyone brought their best song, but it really should be a year of just praying together through song, right? That's how I think about it. And so it's spiritual formation over production. The production comes later. And I think all of us can sort of resonate, at least to some degree, of feeling at times like a certain worship song or a certain sound like didn't really quite hit it for us. And there's something that's missing there. And maybe in a different place we felt like it was there. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And I think one of the reasons is the way that we go about writing songs. I really do believe that. So that's why we're here. So the songs are important. I'm super passionate about that. I cannot wait to hear the songs that come from all of your guys' lives and your churches and your ministries, whether that's collaborating with Living Liturgy or just independently. Like I love to hear those songs. It's such a beautiful like expression of the heart of God, and it's just amazing. So that's amazing. It's beautiful. It's powerful. But here, it's just about connecting and getting to know each other and sharing our stories and just building a community. So that's my spiel. What I'd love to do to start it off is just kind of introduce ourselves. This can take as long or as little as you want to. I find that in most of these calls, the conversation kind of stirs from the introductions. So, I can have in the back of my mind like 5 different topics we can talk about, but I find that the most beautiful thing is when it just kind of comes from what we're talking about. So I like to take notes and just kind of get to know you guys and notice what the Holy Spirit might be highlighting at different times. And that's kind of how we'll go with it. So I'll just start and then I'll just kind of call whoever's in my screen as we go down the list. So I'm Nate and I live in West Virginia now. I lived in Illinois for the last 3 years. Before that, I lived in Ohio. Before that, I lived in Illinois. Before that, I lived in Ohio. So I've moved around a lot, worked at a lot of different churches, everywhere from my dad's little church of 50 people in Ohio to the huge university chapel at the school I used to go to, of 2,500 kids. I've done all the different things. I would say that my favorite place to lead worship is in a living room, like hands down, because people just seem to open up in the living room. I've seen like friends who I've seen at church and they're just like, like this, and then they're in my living room and they're just crying out to God. So that's my favorite place, no matter how big or small a stage I've been able to be a part of. That's the heart for me. I have two boys. Clinton is 4 and Carter is 2. They are crazy. It's a fun time. And then married to my beautiful wife, Erin. She's at home with the kids right now, but she's an amazing worship leader and songwriter as well. In this season of life, my wife and I are writing and producing songs together and sharing those, slowly working on that process. And then I'm, of course, doing this work with Living Liturgy to cultivate worship songwriting. So right now I'm in my uh, doctoral program at Liberty University for a PhD in Christian worship. Khalil, he's on the bottom of the screen. He's one of my classmates, awesome guy. And so that's been taking a lot of time and energy too, but it's been really transformational. So that's me, a little bit where I'm at, and really glad that we're here. So I think Jennifer, you're the next one on my list. So why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about where you're from and kind of what you're up to these days?
Okay. I am from Michigan. I've moved 41 times, all within the state of Michigan, from the bottom to the top. Um, and I have 6 kids. They're a collection of his, hers, and somebody else's. I've my oldest. I say she's my oldest. She's not my stretch marks, and she's also not my husband's child. She's anyway, I got married and inherited her as a 2-year-old, and then we got divorced, and she just likes me better. So I get to keep her, and she's 31 and gave us an amazing 9-year-old granddaughter who will be 10 in June, and I can't even process that. Let's see. Everybody, the youngest at our house is 18, and he is in college in the UP in Houghton, and they have like 300 inches of snow. So he's not loving life right now. um, let's see. I don't know. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. 3 of them currently live in the house still, and we have 3 Labradors, love dogs. Um, I was corporate for 25-ish years in patent and trademark and copyright law, and then I was about a year into worship school with 10K Fam in Colorado, and the Lord was like, "Yeah, we're gonna move now," and my corporate position was eliminated, and I had this great plan of in the spring, in April when I graduate, that I would get a worship leader job and I would start looking for worship leader stuff, and the Lord was like, "Yeah, no, now though." But I still didn't have a job, so we're 6 months into this move with no movement. So there's something about patience and waiting and being still happening. I just
Maybe
am
a song in there or something.
I'm a slow learner. So I keep like, say, are we doing the thing? What are we doing? There's no movement. Okay, cool. That's great for me. So I'm just growing impatient, I guess, and frustrated with that. But I know God is good, and I know His timing is not my timing. Um, and I would still like to see a Uber with his name on it pull up out front, and I'm not. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So, been writing songs since I started 10K Fam. What you said earlier about like character and character development before songs, and that is the kind of boil it down version of what they believe is, and I believe that character before competency. You can be competent as heck, but if your character stinks, not a great place to lead from. So it's been an amazing experience at worship school, um, but it started me down the songwriting journey, and so I have been working with a friend of ours who has a studio in town here at Pearl Studios, and he's done two of my songs so far, which is very exciting and weird at the same time. Like these were post-it notes and like me sitting in the car prayers that are full on MP3, MP4 situations now. I'm just like, I don't understand what's happening right now. Why am I here?
Definitely a weird feeling to like hear it come back to you.
Yep, that's bizarre. Um as far as worship goes, I was at a giant church, giant in my opinion, giant church. It was like 1,500 people, and now I'm at a little baby church plant. God moved me there about 3 years ago, right before they launched. It was a church that went through the dying process and rebuilding. It'll be our second anniversary launch in later this month, 2 weeks. Um, and we're up to about, we started with about 20, 25 committed people from the old church that wanted to be new church. And now we're up to about 150 a week, which is amazing, but still very different than 1,500. And still very much can't afford a worship leader. So, been volunteering, doing worship leading there, and at my old church, Celebrate Recovery on Friday nights. Love that ministry. Um, it was a great opportunity for me to learn and grow there because we lost all of our musicians. And so, about 4 years ago, out of like, Lord, send me a musician. It would be really great if you could just send me a musician. Karaoke worship is terrible. And he was like, yeah, pick up a guitar. I was like, nope. No, 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 no. Have we met? I don't do that. No, 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 no. And yep, I lead from guitar now. So, um, it's been an amazing growth opportunity all the way around for all of the things. So,
Awesome. I feel like you just shared like five worship songs you're about to write in, 5 minutes. So thanks for sharing all that.
thanks. Yeah.
Aiden, why don't you share a little bit about where you're coming from? Okay, not Aiden yet. Amber, why don't you share a little bit about where you're coming from?
Well, I can definitely identify with Jennifer. I grew up. Okay, well, first of all, I'm Amber. I am the current worship leader at Kairos Church KC. We were formerly Metro Christian Fellowship in Kansas City, which is also the birthplace of a few other churches that came out of Metro. But I am now, we had like you said, Jennifer, you're at a church that died and came back. And I kind of feel like that's kind of where we went in a way. The numbers came down. We had some issues with the lease that we had in our building, and we had to redo everything. And we are purchasing a building right now, an old St. Matthew's building with the giant wooden arches, and it's just it's so awesome. Kind of feels old school in there. So it's pretty cool. Um, I am 55, going on 13. Um, and yeah, and I work with students on the autism spectrum as well as ones that have behavior needs in elementary school. I'm a paraprofessional. That's my day job. And I volunteer as worship leader for Kairos. And I just have been working with Nathan on creating my first worship song. It was one that I had written back in 2019 during COVID, and right when it started happening and people were locked in, and it kind of sat there for a while. I wrote it, we recorded it on our little 8-track recorder in our living room, and my husband plays bass for us. He's been playing since middle school. I have only been playing guitar for like the last 15-ish years, acoustic. And so, like Jennifer, there was a time when I lived in Austin, Texas, and we had a tiny church out in the country, and we lost our worship leader. And my best friend and I were the support singers, but we both could sing, and we could harmonize with each other, and we were like, we've been friends forever. We did tracks. And so my daughter at the time, who was 9, is in the back of the sanctuary with the computer hitting the next button so that we can put the karaoke up on the on the overhead, and that awkward pause in between songs. And I was like, this is ridiculous, but God still moved, and it was pretty awesome. And they still talk about that in our church down in Texas. I my first husband passed away when about 12 years ago. And then after that, I reconnected with a high school sweetheart who I'm in Kansas City right now. And at the time, I was living in Austin, and we reconnected, and that's my bass player. And I moved up here, and we became a combined family, his, hers, and ours. We have a 9-year-old granddaughter and 4 kids. And they're all out of the house. So we're now empty nesters and we get to jam in the house anytime we want, which is awesome. Like, crank it up because he really cranks the bass. It's awesome. So, I'm trying to think of what else to put in there. I don't know. Did I miss anything, Nathan?
I think you did pretty good.
Okay. I just love worshiping Jesus.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I love him and I love singing about him. And it was, oh, we debuted the song that I worked with Nathan on. This last Friday at our worship night, we made a YouTube video with the words in a video and all that. A lyric video, that's what they call it. Sorry, brain. And then we debuted it Friday night at worship night, and then Sunday morning we went live with it right away. And I had already sent it out to our Facebook page and our women's ministry Facebook page, and I said, "Hey, be listening because we're gonna do this Sunday, and I want to hear you singing it." And this is our song. We can claim this song, and this is for Kairos to sing to Jesus. Let's do this. And it was super exciting and very surreal because I think Friday night when I first saw the words on the screen during worship night, it was like, oh, kind of it choked you up, and you're just like, this is my heart out there on a screen in the sanctuary that I lead worship at. And it was just such an ownership and moment of like giving my heart out to God and hoping that people don't step all over it. But it didn't care. I cared, but I didn't care because I knew who it was for. It wasn't for the people. It was for the people to be able to worship with, but it wasn't dependent on whether or not they liked it. It's it's for God. And
Yeah.
it
Oh
was
yeah, go
awesome.
ahead. Yeah, no, I saw the live stream and just like hearing the congregation sing your song was like amazing to me because you can hear them singing just off the screen and I'm like,
Mhm.
that's a beautiful thing. So I'm really proud of what you did there, Amber.
There was some really good feedback. They enjoyed it, and we're gonna do it again this Sunday. So
Awesome. Keep it going.
I've already got a bunch of songs built around it. It's in the middle this time instead of the beginning, and it's just gonna stick right in there.
Yep. Well, I'll send a link in the chat later if you guys want to listen to it. It's a cool song.
I
Um,
love it. It's awesome.
yeah.
Anyways, thank you, Nate.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
It was
All
awesome.
right, Aiden, you're up now if you're done eating.
Yeah, you're good. 7 o'clock is dinner time. I thought the meeting was at 8, 2 minutes before. I was like, oh crap. But my name's Aiden. Me and my family live in Plant City, Florida, which is between Tampa and Orlando. I've lived in Florida my whole life. Moved from just north of Orlando to Tampa when I went to college. I have 3 stepkids, one that's out of the house in college, and one that's in the house in college, and the other that's in high school, 16, which is a super fun age to deal with as a step parent. Um, I've been a worship leader for just over 3 years. Got called to ministry uh, for service in a church plant. Really helped the church plant get going. Was in school in seminary, working on a master's degree, and really felt like at the beginning of last year that God was calling me into a season of rest to finish school and to not be so burned out by doing everything in the church plant. So my family and I left the church that we were at and moved to a church in the neighboring town called Lakeland. where we've been sitting since June. We just got plugged into a like a pastoral residency that they have, which is a 2 year program working alongside the staff and being mentored and growing with others. And so we just actually, January was our first month doing that, and I'm beginning to get plugged into their worship ministry. So I'm excited about what the Lord has going for us, and for new opportunities to collaborate with others, and to hopefully write some songs for the church, and just see what kind of growth is going to come out of this season.
Awesome. Yeah, Aiden's got a real heart for theology. I've at least picked up on that a little bit, so we've had some good talks. All right, Meg, you're the next one on my screen, so why don't you share a little bit?
Awesome. Okay, so I am calling in from Missoula, Montana. I was born in Libby, Montana, tiny little town, and then moved to southeastern Washington and grew up there. Born in a Christian family, born in a musician family. My mom and dad are choir and music teachers at the same middle school. They share an office and do concerts together. It's really cute. And so grew up, I think I was 8 years old the first time I started leading worship at our church, and was always doing that up until 2020, which at that point I was, I think, 23. And God had just kind of downloaded a song into my brain. He had been calling me to start going through the Psalms, just starting at number one and just going through and turning them all into songs, not skipping around to the fun ones, but just plowing straight through all of them. So Psalm 1, I felt like that was the first song I ever wrote. Just kind of felt like it got downloaded into my brain. Very like pretty much just the ESV translation. Wasn't a whole bunch of like poetic extra stuff, but that song really connected with people, and I thought, okay, awesome, this is where I'm going. And then for a year, the Lord took away my ability to sing. I had kind of a weird medical thing that I never really figured out what was going on, but I would get like super nauseous whenever I tried to sing, whether on a stage or in my car or with friends or by myself. Didn't matter. It didn't seem to be connected to like a stage fright kind of thing. And I was singing professionally at the time, so I don't think it was exactly an anxiety thing, but seemed like maybe partially spiritual, because it was especially bad when I was worshiping, whether that was privately or publicly. And so that happened for about a year, and I don't think I fully understand that season, but I think a lot of it was I just had a lot of pride in my voice and in my singing ability, and worship was more about a musical performance than it was about actually honoring the King. So that year was just extremely instrumental in my relationship with the Lord and learning how to worship beyond just on a stage through song. And after that year, I found a doctor who found a medication that, like, I saw her one time. She was like a magical fairy that never appeared in my life again. And she just happened to try out one. She said, I don't know what's going on, but let's try this. And it worked. So like a month after I saw her, I was able to start singing again. I had lost a lot of ability and skill, but I had gained a lot of humility. And since then, after that point, we moved back to Montana and got plugged into a really awesome church that is still pretty new. We're in a basketball gym, growing like crazy, but it's a really sweet season to be in, where we're setting up and tearing down every Sunday. And there, I have felt like the worship that I've been able to be a part of leading, I've been less proud of the actual sounds coming out of my mouth. Like I've been teary and not stuff that you would want to record and put on an album for sure. But like, I do think that the Lord has been a lot more pleased with that worship, and his people have been a lot more blessed with that since that season of difficulty of not being able to sing. And after being able to sing again, I've started writing again. So I've gone through Psalm 9. I'm working on Psalm 10 right now, and I've done a bunch of some other things. I have started a songwriting group with my worship team, but it's all parents, and I'm kind of in a reverse empty nest season where I thought that our nest would be full. We've been married for 7 years, been married to my high school sweetheart. So we got married right after high school. And I thought we would have some chicks in our nest, and we do not yet. So the Lord has just kind of opened my eyes to the fact that this is a season that I get to focus on music. I've been going to Berkeley online. I'm taking a class in Ableton because production does not come easily to me at all, but I just want to understand some of the basics. And that's how I found this group, actually, was through Berkeley Online. And yeah, just excited to write a lot. And I haven't written anything for a congregation yet because I kind of feel like that's the final boss. Like I need to write a lot first before I'm ready to like put words into the mouth of the people. So hopefully that comes along someday, but haven't gotten there yet. So yeah.
That's awesome. What an awesome story.
Hmm.
How did you get here from Berkeley?
So there's a group me channel
Okay.
that is called Berkeley Online for Christ.
Okay.
And there, one of the gals there, she
Oh,
has
okay.
mentioned this a couple times. Mia is her name, I
Okay,
think.
yeah, that's
So
Mia. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Because you went to Berkeley as well, right?
I did, yeah. Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Yep. Yep. A few years ago for my
Can
master's.
can I say something real quick
Yeah,
to
go
Meg?
ahead.
Meg, don't. Mm, you guys don't know me, and I might not be invited back, and that's okay. Don't don't put God in a box.
Hmm,
It's not you're ready to do anything for God. It's all about what God's going to do through you. And if
hmm,
you're already writing songs that are of the Psalms, there are literally no better words to put in the mouths of people who are worshiping the King
hmm,
than his words. So like throw that away.
hmm,
Like that's garbage. Don't don't believe
I
that.
I'm literally writing that down, Jennifer. You said not what you're going to do for God, but what God is going to do through you. That
hmm,
is so powerful.
hmm,
And that is exactly like the heart that we can pursue because, and we'll talk about that more at some point, but it really is like so much of the worship writing. I know we're jumping ahead. We'll introduce those in a minute, but so much of the worship writing culture, so much of the worship writing culture is we're going to do this. It's me. I'm the one who can put this song out. I'm the one who can share it. And what I've been exploring and really internalizing is that it's the Lord who wants to share a song with his people. And he has called each one of us to be recipients of that. For some reason, I'm not worthy of it. If I do it my way, I will screw it up. And I have screwed it up. But you're exactly right, Jennifer. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and it literally is the word of your testimony. The healing is in the word of your testimony. And so, yeah, let him do what he's going to do through you. Just like be the conduit that just passes it along. You're like the lady in the lunch line that's like slop, next slop, like but it's way better than the lunchroom slop. It's like you're just passing it through, right? So you're just feeding his people. You're just a stop on the way. So like, yeah, sorry, go
hmm.
ahead.
No, so
That,
beautiful, Jennifer. Sorry, Meg, you can
that's
continue.
no, no, no. That's it. I was just gonna say that's a good humility check as well. Just remembering where it comes from.
Mm,
Hmm.
so good. Thank you guys. Oh, that's powerful. All right. Robbie, you want to share a little bit about where you're coming from, man?
Hey guys. Um, First of all, you guys are all so cool. This is such a sweet group. I feel like it's kind of like I don't know where it seems like it's just all come from all sorts of places. But I'm from Canada. Um, I'm from BC. I live in Langley. And for all of you guys who don't know, it's like 2.5 hours drive north of Seattle. Um, so that's where I'm at. And I Yeah, I have somewhat similar stories to you guys. I grew up in a family that loved Jesus and got involved early in leading worship, and I was playing acoustic and singing. And um, kind of like early on, I really had a heart for the songs that we were singing. I remember we were just like, we are singing some Jesus culture songs. I was like, guys, I don't know if these songs are like the right culture for our youth group. Like this doesn't feel right. We're like importing culture from a different church, and so I had a heart to like write some songs. And early on, I think one of the events that happened to me was a really awesome gift from a friend that like riled together some of my other friends, and we're like, let's give him like some money to record. So there was like a worship pastor friend nearby that um, she basically just gave me like a lump sum. It was virtually nothing. I think it was like $400. Like basically this guy was doing it for free and helped me record these songs for us to sing in our youth group. So looking back, it was like very, very humble beginnings, but it was cool to see that God, even at a young age, was like, no, no, like there's no junior Holy Spirit. Like if you think that, um, if you come together with your friends that are leading this youth worship, and it's like there's something deeper going on here. And in hindsight, I'm like, no, that was still the right heart, even though we were really inexperienced. Like that passion is still the right thing. So feel very humbled by that. Um, I went to Trinity Western University. It's kind of like a small Biola version, Canada version, in BC. And I, long story short, had a roundabout where I was like, oh, I'm not going to do worship. I'm just going to do music. And then came around now, and I'm the worship director at a church here just like recently. I only started last May in this full-time position. So I'm new to the gig, but I'm loving it. And one of the reasons I am interested in this is because um, we kind of have like a multi-site church. So it's not like satellite where there's like the video preacher, but it's like we're one church, but we have four different preachers and four different campuses. And so we're just kind of have like some central resources that we help each other out with. And so I lead at the original campus, and then I kind of work with three other part-time worship leaders, which in my mind is like, as I'm coming into this, I'm like, oh man, like this is like almost a perfect position to have like a little cohort of writers. And I want to bring that's never really been a thing at this church in its history, in its past, is having their own worship songs. But I'm like, why not? Like, this is perfect. So I'd love to put my head together with other people like yourselves, and glean what I can from your wisdom and experience. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Robbie. Yeah, were you I couldn't quite figure it out. Were you a youth student when you wrote those songs? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I was like a student, and I was also
Yeah.
a leader.
Yeah.
It wasn't an official thing. I think I just showed like slightly more interest
Yeah.
than the rest. And so my pastor was like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, man. Totally. Been there.
But
Been there for sure.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome. Well, thanks for being here, man.
yeah.
All right. Sorry. I'm gonna have Khalil. Khalil, can you talk or are you just kind of tuning in? You can just give me a thumbs down if you can't talk. Or maybe he'll just won't respond and then we'll just move on.
My
Okay,
bad.
here.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, okay, okay.
Sorry.
No,
Good.
I just
Good
want to get you before
evening.
you leave. So
No, you're good. Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I have to leave a little bit early because tonight my church is hosting a kind of like a get together with the children of the church, and we have like a gift exchange, and we're going to talk about a few things. And anyways, so my name is Khalil. I'm calling from Lawton, Oklahoma. Well, sorry, I am calling from Lawton, Oklahoma, and yikes, my story. Uh, oh, well, okay. So I come from a military family. So my father, yes, if we he was stationed in Texas. That's where I was born, and then we moved to Germany and lived there for 8 years. And then we came to Oklahoma and we've been here ever since. So if people ask me where I'm from, I just tell them I'm from Lawton, Oklahoma, just because I feel like it's the place where I was baptized, it's a place where I kind of like fully committed myself to Jesus. And when that happens, that's when your life begins. So I tell people that I'm just from Lawton, Oklahoma. Here I did my bachelor's in the local university here, and then when I did my master's, I was kind of living in a in a very daring way, if you will. And I kind of left the house and was like, I'm gonna do my master's in vocal performance, and I want to travel the world and be famous with singing and stuff like that. And so I left the house and I did a double master's in vocal pedagogy and choral conducting in the city. And I tell everybody the same. It was the best 3 years of my life, and it was also the worst 3 years of my life because it was like God opened that door, but then He also opened the door to a lot of breaking, and He broke me in my time there. And yeah, at that time it hurt and it was uncomfortable, but at the same time, just so grateful for that kind of isolation process. Because if I didn't know of that isolation process, I would have never known what sanctification meant. So then after I graduated, I was like, okay, now I'm ready to be famous and go on Broadway and whatnot. And I wanted to continue my doctoral studies in vocal pedagogy, but the university that I uh, went to apply, they were just like, you're too late. And I was like, all right, well, my heart was always set on worship and learning about worship, but I didn't have the opportunity, one, and two, I didn't want to leave my parents. I didn't want to leave my family. So then I found Liberty, and that's where I met Nathan through one of our classes, and it's been one of those complete 180 of what I'm used to. It's no longer like how to sing or how to do diction or how to read theory and understand it. No, now it's like, what do you think? What God is calling you to do? Like, what do you think about that? And then it's just like another transformational slash breakthrough slash breaking, and it's just amazing. But um, I have been in the same church ever since we moved to Lawton, Oklahoma. I am a I'm a PK. So my parents are pastors and they've been pastors for the last, well, since 2009. So about 16 years, 17. It'll be 17 in July. Yes. So for the last 17 years, so I've been, and it was a funny process when that happened because when we came to this church, there was like nobody here. Everybody stuck with the old church, and when the old pastor, and when the old pastor retired, they were just like, okay, well, there's no more church, and they all left. So it was literally just like my family, maybe an elder, and so then there we kind of experienced the God of Genesis, like, hey, I I don't know if you remember anything, but I'm the God who creates something out of nothing. So let me just go ahead and take you. And so then when I was about 15, that's when I started worship leading. And that was a whole process. I thought it was, and I mentioned this in one of my classes, but I thought that I was just called for convenience because, oh, I know music, I know how to play the piano and kind of sing a little bit. But no, now I understand it is literally just like a present process kind of thing. And but at the same time that all of that was going, I have had the calling of like worship writing and like sharing music and stuff like that, but I kept running away from that because I was like, me, I'm not, I can't do that. That's people in Hollywood. Like, what is a little old guy from Lawton, Oklahoma, going to do with that? And so I kept running away from it. That's why I wanted to go on Broadway and stage works and stuff like that, opera, you name it, all of those things. And when I started the doctoral program, I don't think it was not a coincidence that I ran into Nathan. And I was kind of talking to Nathan about my experience, my testimony, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm ready. I'm ready to like, I'm ready to write songs and publish them and take them out. And I don't want to be famous. I don't want to tour bus or anything, but I just, I want to lead conferences and whatnot and stuff like that. And Nathan was like, yeah, that's great. Um, and then God was like, yeah, I'm so glad that you're really pumped, but we're not doing this your way. So I'm super frustrated. I'm in that season right now where I'm learning to become a worship writer and not a songwriter. And it honestly, I feel like I can say this in front of all of y'all. It sucks because I am not, Nathan knows, I am not used to just sitting down and responding. I am used to writing something and producing. So so that's where I'm at right now. Um when I am not at church or being a student at Liberty, I am an adjunct professor at my alma mater where I did my bachelor's. I'm a music teacher. I teach sight singing, small vocal jazz ensemble, which is really really fun, and music appreciation and private voice lessons. And again, a very humbling experience as well because I didn't even want to become a teacher. And then, but right after graduation of my master's, where I had that mentality of yes, I'm going to conquer the world behind stage lights and dressing rooms. God was like, yeah, you can do that from a classroom point of view, and you know, not where all the focus is on you. And I'm so glad that happened because I love teaching. Love teaching. It is so fun. It is a great, um, it's a really fulfilling ministry that I never thought that I would be qualified to do. But in God's grace and in His abundant goodness, He has more than equipped me to be able to do so through His Spirit. And it's just been amazing. Hi. Very good. um, what's it called? So I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it. As of right now, I am kind of like I found a Christian company, if that makes sense, a Christian like company platform that helps launches like new artists, but I'm just kind of like waiting, putting it in God's hand. If He gives me the green light, it'll happen. But right now, I'm at a stop sign waiting for it to turn green, if that makes sense. And there's no street light. It's just a stop sign. I'm just waiting for the guy conducting traffic to. Okay, now you're ready. Like, right now, he's just. I'm like, okay, great. Um, but yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I'm super. Sorry, a lot of people, but I'm super touched and I'm super honored to be among people that I can be vulnerable with and talk about these things because you all understand me and I understand y'all. Uh, and But yes, I'm super excited to be here. Robbie, wow, that's so cool that you're in Canada. I'm so sorry. That was just like that blew my mind when you said that. So welcome. Uh, and yes, just hearing about everybody's experience and everything, it blesses me. It edifies me as well. It gives me hope that that God has not forgotten about me if He has not forgotten about any of you. So that kind of stills me. And yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, Nathan, for opening this up for all of us. And may God continue to bless every one of us through it.
Thanks, Khalil. Tom, you'll come in just a second. I just wanted to add something to what Khalil said because I must have had a great conversation with my friend this afternoon, but we were talking about, you know how you ever have like a song that you can't finish, where you have, like I have like this bridge that I've had in my heart for like 5 years, and it's like I know it's a killer bridge, it's so powerful, but like I only have like the first four bars, like the first four lines, and then I need like the next part, and I can never figure out what to say. And like just yesterday, I was like, "Oh, that's it!" And it's like it took so long. And he was like, "Yeah, I have this song about like Yahweh, like breathing in, breathing out. And I can't figure it out." And it just hit me of like, if we see it as like production, performance, output, then we'll just like move on, just like either complete that song or just be like, "Well, it's a dud. We're just gonna forget about it." But I was like, "What if this is like the Holy Spirit's invitation for you to just keep showing up to this thing you can't quite figure out, right? Like every year you just come back, you're like, what is that? How do I put that into words? And maybe when you're 75, you'll figure it out. Maybe you'll never figure it out, and you'll stand before God, and He'll say like, this is what that was all about, and you're like, I get it, and He'll be like, thank you for seeking me, 57 times for that one answer that you never got because He brought so many other things through that. I mean, there's just no way to really summarize the ways that God can just use our faithfulness and our showing up to create something really beautiful and that we can't fully understand it. So I just wanted to add that in there as you and a lot of us have been talking about just like in that waiting period. So all right, Tom, why don't you share just briefly kind of where you're coming from? Tom has like an awesome story. Tom could literally share an hour's worth of stories and ideas and concepts, and it's all really good. But go ahead and just kind of briefly introduce yourself, Tom. Oh, still muted, Tom. You're still muted there. I don't got you. There we go.
Okay, yeah, I just said that you really put me on the spot here, so now I have to measure up to your expectation, everybody's
Bro,
expectations.
you won't even have to try, I promise.
Yeah, well, gosh, I don't know where to start. I know usually you only keep these meetings for an hour, and we're getting close to the end of that, so I'll just try to just touch on highlights. But no, I got hooked on music at the age of 7. I lived in a foster home. Wrote my first song when I was 12. My mother bought me an electric guitar after I moved back to live with her. It's also I was 7 when I found the Lord, and but drifted away during my teen years because my mother wasn't saved, and then let's see, came back to the Lord after I graduated from high school. A couple years later, went to Bible college, and that's when I started doing worship. I was a worship leader for a short time at a church I worked at over the summer, and then into the fall at Bible college. And then I left Bible college the following year. This was back in the 70s, by the way. So I'm like, I'm pretty much, um, I just turned 70 in November, so I'm the old kid on the block here. So, but no, I always wanted to pursue music, but never really had the opportunity because my family environment was pretty dysfunctional and impoverished. My mother was on welfare. And so in 75, I discovered Jesus music. That was one of the things that really helped me in my walk with the Lord because I had spent several years doing drugs and listening to all the secular rock songs. And so pretty much when I came back to the Lord, it was like all these really tame, mellow songs like the Continentals and the Hawaiians. And you probably never even heard of these groups, but they're just so mellow and tame compared to what I was used to listening to. So I had this real struggle that I was going through because I didn't have any good music to listen to. And then I discovered Jesus music, and that was just, that just hit the nail on the head. And that's all I listened to from then on. But as far as worship goes, no, I spent the late 70s, early 80s, I was worship leader on and off. First, just small groups. I never really led a large group. I don't think I could deal with that because I'm pretty much an introvert. I can't deal with being in front of a large group of people. So it was always small group worship that I was always drawn to. But I wanted to pursue music as a career, but back then I didn't have the background for it. So I ended up going to Penn State and getting a degree in electrical engineering. Moved to Albuquerque. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention I was born in Pennsylvania, so that's where I'm originally from. Spent the first 30 years of my life there, and I moved to Albuquerque in '86, and I've been living here ever since. So I worked at a research lab here for 17 years, and then left there to help my wife with a business that she had started, a healthcare business out of our home. And I was working on a book writing project that I spent a lot of years since I went to Bible college. I've done a lot of my own studying and research. So I never really got my degree, my bachelor's degree, what I wanted to obtain, because I dropped out of Bible college. I lost interest because I didn't have the major that I wanted to pursue. So I wanted to work on a book project, but that kind of fizzled out. I won't go into all the details, but in 2007, I woke up from a dream with a chorus playing in my head and tears streaming down my face. And that was like the beginning of me, the Lord bringing me back into my music ambitions, my music pursuits. So I spent the next 6 months teaching myself how to read music. I added 3 verses to this song, a bridge, got it finished in May or June of 2007, but didn't know what to do with it. Just one song. What am I going to do with just one song? Plus it came to me in a dream, so it's not like I could just write another song and then write another song. Plus I had this book project I was working on, so I just, kind of put it on the back burner. Well, then 2013, I ended up hitting a wall with my book writing ambition, and I ended up having to put that all aside and decided, well, I guess I'll get back into my music. And but by that I meant I had a lot of tapes that I had made back in the 70s and 80s that I wanted to convert to digital so that I could put them on my computer and listen to them. So I did the first tape, which was the Resurrection Band, and The next day I got sick, and I was sick for 3 weeks in bed, and I was really depressed about the fact that I wasn't able to finish my book project that I'd been working on for like 40 years with research and other things. And so all I could think about was my misery. So I started to write a poem about what I was going through. And that poem turned into a 9 minute long song. It's called Drowning in Pain. And basically, it was just about hitting rock bottom and just, you know, dealing with all these suicidal thoughts and just all the pain and anguish of just being at the end of yourself. But at the end of the song, it turns around and it ends on a positive note that basically the one line in the song that kind of epitomizes the whole purpose of the song is that um, there's nothing so dear as the favor of the Lord. And that's like the message that I got from the Lord about, you know, it doesn't matter. It's not what it doesn't matter what I'm going through. Even if I hit rock bottom, what's most important is that He's pleased with what I'm doing, and He's pleased with my decision to continue living for Him, even though things didn't work out the way I had hoped them to. So that's when I discovered my ability to start writing songs on a semi regular basis. I didn't write any worship songs for another 2 years. I mostly just wrote like personal songs about my own experiences. And then 2015, the Lord started leading me into writing worship songs. And 2 years after that, I finally had enough space in my life where I could take my original song in 2007 to a local producer to see if he would produce it for me. I had written three other worship. I was in the process of writing three other worship songs I had started in 2015, but I didn't think they were good enough to produce. But I knew this one song I wanted to have produced, and so that was February, 9 years ago this month. And by the time he finished creating the arrangement for that song in May, the Lord was giving me. He gave me two additional songs, and then that year, in fact, I wrote 10 songs, and this one song turned into a 16 track worship album project that we pretty much just finished like this past year. And I started releasing singles from that back in August of 2024. November 2025, I released my debut EP. And this year I'm working on the singles for my second EP. And so I found Nate through the Worship Leader Plus group on Facebook. He posted a kind of just an announcement thing that I think it was in response to someone else who had um, posted some new songs that they released. I don't remember exactly what it
Who
was, but
knows, bro?
you just said about, hey, if anybody wants to, you know, get together and discuss writing worship songs, I thought, hey, this is great because I've been doing this all on my own pretty much for the last 10 years, and so it's been a little kind of a lonely journey. So just being able to connect and talk to people. I mean, I've been on some other Facebook groups, but that's all just text. There's been no video, actual video, face-to-face communication. And so when Nate said, hey, I'm going to have a Zoom chat and we're going to talk about songwriting, worship songwriting, I thought, hey, this is awesome. I definitely want to check this thing out. And so I've been coming to these meetings ever since. I think I'm probably about the only one that's been to most of them.
Yeah, we had one solo meeting together, Tom.
Yeah, you and me. Yeah, we spent. Yeah, that was. I enjoyed that a lot.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was. So, but yeah, so I'm really glad to have met Nate and just to be part of this community that he's forming and just to be able to connect with our songwriters.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Tom.
So,
Yeah, so intentionally I like these calls to be just us sharing our stories. Because like I've learned a lot from like hearing Tom's story. Like we talked for probably 2 hours at one time, just because no one else came to the Zoom call and it was just us and we talked for a long time. And it like nurtures my heart to hear other people's stories and journeys. And so something that I really intentionally am trying to do, and this is also like not my nature, so is to slow it down, right? Just slow the process down, to be okay with things taking time and to be okay with like little tiny incremental results because, you know, we've kind of mentioned this a few times around, and I wrote a post about this. Maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did early on when I was doing the Substack stuff about kind of getting in a place of tension in my songwriting where I would show up to worship. Like I like to just like sit at my piano in the mornings, or when I was working at a church, just like find a time in the afternoon and just sit and play for a little while. I used to like print out some songs, but I just realized I just wanted to vibe and just worship and pray. And then I would start singing a melody, and then I'm pretty soon I'm writing a song, and then pretty soon I'm not worshiping anymore. I'm like jotting down rhymes and trying to write chord progressions. And I was like, Lord, this is kind of a weird place to be because I want to worship you and I want to just pray and I want to offer these things to you, but I can't get over this like urge that's saying like this is the next song you're going to share. This is a good melody. Capture this, write it down. And so just like praying, seeking the Lord on that, kind of came to a place where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna offer the songs to you always as much as I can. And then if the song is just for you, let it just like pass from my heart to yours and I'll forget it. And if it's something you want to share, then let it kind of rest with me for a little while. Right. And since then I've realized that I can actually kind of do both. I can just press record on my phone and just forget, you know. And if 30 minutes later I've got nothing, that's fine. If 30 minutes later I've got a whole song, that's great too. But that was sort of this moment shifting for me where I was like, yeah, I can't figure out how to stay in a posture of worship and also stay in a posture of writing and creating. Right. So I've been on this journey to try to figure out how can the entire process of writing a song be worship, right? I don't want to just have like one moment of it be worship, right? I think sometimes we like spiritualize the moment of inspiration where that song kind of comes to us and it feels really powerful. Like I know I feel that way. Like if I'm in a moment and a melody comes and it just is like this is so from the heart of God. But honestly, sometimes I listen back to those songs and I'm like, it's not that great. Like it felt good in the moment because I was all like emotional and tuned in. Look back and I'm like, it's not that great. Sometimes it is, it's all over the place. But lately, as I've been processing what this looks like, and I was spending all of pretty much November through February, mid-January, just writing and seeking the Lord on like a whole sort of book slash course on worship songwriting, like just kind of trying to take all of my thoughts from writing for the last 10 years, put it into one place, like incorporate scripture, like bring this thing together. And I got to this really like pivotal point and Tom, you were on this call actually. This was a couple months ago where I was like, it can't just be inspiration. It has to also be craft, right? Like you'll hear this. This is common like songwriting language where it's like, or creative language anywhere. And I know it's 8 o'clock. I'll probably just go for like 10, 15 more minutes and we'll wrap. Um, you'll hear that a lot where it's like you have to show up, be consistent, write when you don't feel it, just keep going. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But I'm like, it has to be a little bit deeper, I think, for worship songwriting. And the Lord really showed me how it can be have you've read Deuteronomy 6, the Shema, right? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I started kind of seeing this thread where it's like the writing process flows through these four stages: the heart, soul, the mind, and your strength, and how all those elements sort of relate to the process of writing a worship song. And what I've discovered as I've just sort of experimented with this is that, oh, I was kind of already doing some of this already, but I didn't really realize it. There's certain areas where I felt more comfortable. Like, I love, and I think most of us probably do at some point, love that like soul element where you're just like at the piano or at the guitar or like just in your car, just like letting melodies out and just like being present in the moment, right? But then there's like the mind and the strength where you're persisting to bring something together. And I've really been striving to figure out and understand how can I worship through that entire process, right? Where if God's created each of us with a heart, soul, mind, and a strength, these four kind of dynamics of how we respond to God, then surely like in each of those elements, it's pleasing to God if we offer that to him. That makes sense. And so this has like transformed the way I think about worship songwriting. And this is really like something I've been really digging into because, I don't want to just have a moment of worship and then just try to figure it out on my own, right? I want to be like hand in hand with God, with the Spirit, with the Word in front of me, like all the way through the entire process, so that from the first moment, I'm like, this is your song, Lord. Like this is something I want to just carry what you've given me. I want to figure out how to pick up on that. I want to hear it. I want to notice it. I want to write it down. I want to meditate on it. And then I want to go through this entire process until at the end, I'm just like, this is yours. Like, thank you. I'm just thankful that I got to carry this to this moment. And then like Amber and I were talking about this, I think the other day, it's like now it's done. And then I'm going to give it back to God, right? He gave it to me. I'm going to give it back to him. Like this offering of worship. And it makes it so much more powerful than you can ever imagine because you're free, right? You're free to just respond in worship. And if nobody likes the song, you're like, cool. It was from the Lord anyways, you know? And if it impacts people, then you're like, cool, God brought that through, right? And it's so powerful. So that's a little piece that I wanted to just share with you guys, because even though I've written like a whole thing about that and have all this teaching on it, like even just thinking in the next month, like as you sit down to write, okay, where's my heart, my soul, my mind, and my strength coming into play as I'm in this songwriting process? That can be transformational for you. Um, so we have like 10 more minutes, if that's okay with you guys. What I'd like to do, we've all shared some amazing things, and I have learned from each of you through this entire process. Before this call, I was like praying that something along the lines of like, Lord, like don't let us like see, oh, I'm gonna write a song or like something amazing or something so cool, but just to be affirmed that God's called you to write a song. That's what my prayer was before this call started, and I'm already seeing that happen. And so for the last few minutes here, and if we go over, that's okay, but I want to give you like permission. So if you want to like sneak out, you don't feel like you have to just like, hang on longer and longer. Um, but I'd like to just hear from you guys, like where you're at in your journey right now, basically like, what's the most challenging thing about songwriting, whether that is, I can't seem to get started for this reason, or I'm not sure where to begin, or I've been writing for a while, but I don't know how to take that next step. I'd like to hear from you, and then just in the group, just affirm each other. I really believe that when Christians come together and we put Christ at the center of it, he like he gives the pieces in the perfect order. Does that make sense? Like just like Jennifer had a little bit of a prompting to encourage Meg where she was at. It's just like, so just open the floor up for a minute here. I just want to hear from you guys. If anyone, not everyone has to share, but if anyone has like a thought that comes to mind when I just say like, what's the most challenging thing right now about worship songwriting, and just share that, and let's just kind of encourage each other for a few minutes and then we'll wrap up. Just unmute and share. Go ahead.
For me, I don't hear music. So, I mean, I can noodle on my guitar all day long. It's not going to sound like anything. It's just me changing chords. Um, So I write and I write and I write and I write so many words. Like the Lord will literally wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I will get a download, and I can't even type as fast as the words are coming to my brain. And I'm like, okay, I have to put my glasses on. I have trifocals. I can't see. My husband's trying to sleep. The light from my phone, like I'm in the bathroom with a towel shoved under the door, trying to just get it out of my brain so I can go back to bed. I have no music. Like I have words on words on words on words on words and no music. So,
Yeah, and anyone can share. I'm obviously a talker, so I'll jump in at any point. But
Hey, I just want to comment because my experience is completely different. I've got melodies playing in my head all the time, but no words. I mean, when the words come, they come with the melody at the same time. Um, but I quick write it like she says. You got to quick type them down so you don't forget them, so you don't miss them. So I quick get to my computer and I type them in there so that I don't forget them. But the melody just keeps playing over and over and over again in my head, and but I can't just sit down even with the melodies in my head. I can't just sit down and write a song because I've tried that. I end up just going in circles. So the Lord has to give me the melodies to go with it, but it all that only happens when He has me in a certain place experientially, where there's an emotional reality, an experiential reality, where the words just start coming and the music at the same time, and the song is just there. It's just birthed. Most of the songs I wrote, pretty much I wrote them over a period of a few days or a few weeks. But there's one or two that came in spurts. It's just like they were difficult, but for the most part, it's just a steady stream. And so um, there is a songwriting um, survey that I can't think of her name. In the
I know you're
group.
talking about. I know
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's like seven different, according to what she developed. She's like co-written with over 1,000 people. She wrote this songwriting personality test. That's what it is. And so I took that, and the two things that I tested for, one was a melody. I'm a melody writer, and the other was prophetic. I'm concerned about truth, speaking forth truth. Those two go together, and so when my songs are birthed, it's all about expressing the truth, the reality of my experience. But according to her, I can leave her name. Maybe you can leave her name later, Nate. But there's like 7 different songwriting personalities, and so
Yeah.
um, some are melody, some are lyrics, some are more producers, some are more prophetic. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. I'm actually not to jump in on that, but I'm actually going to send one more link in the chat because I sort of built on that songwriting personality idea a little bit, but I took it a little bit more in the direction of the songwriter callings. And I'm super interested for all of you to take this little assessment and let me know what you got because it's really, really interesting. It's not as much on the melody lyric side, it's more on like the purpose of the songwriting. But Jennifer, a thought is to write a song to a pre-existing melody, to let a melody already exist, like a hymn or a song out there. That's right. It's Christine Nordoff. Yep.
Yeah, so yes. So I've been doing that for a very long time and my children now do that. So like we cannot you cannot say a word in our kitchen without
Mm.
somebody like um I don't know, just any an Eminem song and like flipping the lyrics into like
Mm.
a kitty litter commercial.
Yeah.
Like it's just it yep. Yeah, I can do that all day long. But the pastor of the 1500 people he's like stop writing parodies. I don't want to see another parody song as a special or a
Mm.
skit or a no thank you. Don't do it.
Gotcha.
And then right after that, I think they did like the Bohemian Rhapsody Mom. Have you seen the Bohemian Rhapsody Mom? Mom, can you please let me go? No, I will not let you go. Please let me go. Like he wanted to go to a party. There was like a big parody about like,
Oh my
please let
goodness.
me go. No. Anyway, um, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's all good. I'll message you at some point this week, because I'd like to explore that with you to see what God might stir in that. So, anybody else? What comes to mind when you think about what's most challenging about songwriting right now, or is it not
I
challenging?
can I can go. I think I mean to be honest, fully honest, right now, like Nate, when you were talking about like slowing it down, I was like, yeah, I feel that. Like I don't think I'm actually not going to be there. Maybe even until this summer, just because I got a lot of things going on right now. Um, and I know my team is full, but it's like something that I've just felt on my heart, and I know that our community is actually ready for. Um, because we're already like our church is happy to have new songs. And so I'm like, yeah, we're ready to learn some new stuff. And also, um, we're in a period of, um, we just have a, like, without making it too long, we just have it's, I think it's awesome. And it's also difficult to have multiple campuses that are part of one church body because there's like pieces where we're like, oh man, we could not do this without the central support. Whether it's like, literal finances for a kitchen or whether it's like training for volunteers, kind of, all sorts of things. But in the same time, it's like, uh, you know, there's that unity piece is difficult. Like, for example, we're coming together for a Good Friday service coming up, and uh, it's going to be like one of the few events where all of our campuses come together for one thing. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh man, songs that we would build together as worship leaders from the interspersed campuses that we could all sing at our campuses would be awesome, for unity in terms of like a unified heart. And I think the thing that's daunting for me is like, oh man, I know the styles are different because of the church sizes. Like for example, this campus here is a slightly bigger, so there's we often have a full band, and one of our other campuses is like they might have acoustic, a piano, and a bass, and then two vocalists on a Sunday, and that'd be a normal Sunday for them. So I'm like, okay, then it almost has to put more pressure on it being a good song that it doesn't just work with a full band, but it works anywhere. like some stuff like City of Light has done. I'm like, yeah, some of those songs are really good because they work with a big band and they work with like two people. Um, so that's I just feel scared of that. I'm like, that's daunting to have like a really good one that's not just yeah,
Robbie, can I mention something? Coming from
yeah,
a church that has gone through musicians, leaders. We have had the big full band, and we've even had rotating
yeah,
drummers, like an actual full band situation. And then it's been just my husband and myself. I'm on acoustic, he's on bass, and I'm singing, and we have no extra vocalists. You can take the largest song and
yeah.
and pare it down, and it just becomes this moment that God will just you're just letting it flow, and it doesn't have to be that fast. It doesn't have to be that huge. The meaning and the message, if that is in that song and good for that moment, will emote such a fragrant offering to God that you will just be like, "Whoa, I didn't think that one was going to really go over because it was,
Hmm.
there's a song right now. Oh, I don't want to take up any time, but there's been a few that just slowing them down and
Yeah.
just letting the spirit move in the midst of it will, man, wow, it can move mountains.
Hmm.
And it's happened. So don't be afraid of that. So
Thanks,
if the
Amber.
if the message is ordained and the message that the Spirit has moved for all of you to use, He will use it in your different campuses as each campus uses it.
Mhm.
Did that make any sense?
No, yeah, it's true. Yeah, the fun part is that it's before us. We haven't dived into it yet, and so we get to see how it'll work.
It's gonna be fun.
That's it's
I'll be
encouraging.
excited to hear about it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's encouraging.
Awesome. Anybody else before we wrap up tonight?
I do real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Amber.
The waiting.
Yep, the
This one,
waiting.
like I said, the song I just finished, I wrote back in 2019 and shared with a bunch of people, and they were just like, "Oh, cool."
Hmm.
God was like who was it at the stop sign? Oh, it
Khalil.
was the
Yeah, Khalil.
Khalil. Felt like it was at the stop sign, and then I met Nate on Facebook on one of the worship leaders sites, and I was like, "Well, I have a song." And so he helped me fix some things, and man, and now it's just like, and God was like, and even recording it and getting it all set up and getting the things finished. I got sick. My husband got sick.
Hmm.
I lost my voice throughout the whole
Hmm.
month of December. Every single Sunday, it was like all week. I couldn't do any practicing. We got rid of all of our practices, and here we are in December doing Christmas songs. And I was like, vocal rest, vocal rest, vocal rest. So, yes, Meg, I identify with that, but it was not for like a whole year. But it seems like every December, because I work with children and I lead worship, those two worlds collide in December and I am fighting. So I found this bee spray, the
Hmm.
the bee pollen spray, Polaris, and man, I found it. Thank you, Jesus, for making bee pollen.
Yeah,
Anyways,
and no, and it was like every week, like, okay, we don't, do this, and it's like not yet, and
yeah.
then just
My
God's
husband got
timing.
the
So,
flu, and then he got pneumonia, and then I was sick, and oh my
mhm.
goodness, ridiculous.
No, it's so good.
But
Well,
God
I
was
know
like,
it's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Okay, I was just saying. I know it's. I said 8:15. It's already 8:18, but it's just you guys have so many great stories and great things to share. But I won't hold you much longer here. Like I said, I really just want this to be a place to connect and build relationships and just open up. And, I'm walking away from tonight with, seven other people who are all wrestling with the call to respond and wait at the same time. Right? And that's beautiful. And I'm here for all of that. I would say that stay connected. I'll send an email out after this call, just to everybody, and just kind of just if you want to connect with anybody else, you're welcome to. And feel free to reach out to me and set up a Zoom call where we can just chat through where you're at and how I can support you. Like my passion is supporting church worship leaders and artists in their journey as songwriters, right? I obviously have my stuff that I'm doing and whatever, but I want to come alongside what you're doing and help remove any barriers that you have and bring some of the things that I've been pursuing in terms of like discerning what God's doing in your church and working through that process and this whole idea of the heart, soul, mind, and strength and how to really lean into that. I just want to be a part of that. We do remote demo productions, all these different things. The whole point is I'm here. I'm available. And I would love nothing more than to just chat more with you, even if it's just to kind of get to know you more and hear where you're coming from and just, know how to pray for you, honestly. So please reach out. Like it's not like an inconvenience for me at all. I'm usually pretty flexible. I just like work on music and write all day. So like, you can just text, message me and be like, hey, you free right now? I'm probably free. So please reach out and love to hear all of your stories. Like I'm super blessed by hearing just what God's doing in your guys' lives. And I'm walking away being like, wow, God is super faithful. And he is the God that's there in the waiting. And when it's his time, he'll move, he'll breathe on it. And I just believe God is doing something really beautiful in this. And I believe that you guys are all here because there's this hunger in your heart to let your worship songs really truly be an offering of worship to the Lord. I really believe that. And I can hear it coming from no one is like, I want to make it big. I want to do this. Everyone is saying something along the lines of like, I want to serve the church and respond to the Lord in worship with this thing that I can do, which is write a song. And that's it. That's the main thing. That's the best thing. And so I'm excited to walk through that with all of you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Any burning thoughts or questions before I just pray us out? Nope. Cool. Well, thanks for
Thank
staying.
you, Nate.
Absolutely,
Appreciate your
man.
time, man. Really appreciate you being able to host this. Thanks.
Absolutely,
Means a
man.
lot.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Well, here, we're gonna keep doing it. So God's just getting started. Well, I'll pray us out and then we'll roll with the rest of our night. All right. We pray. Lord, thank you for your faithfulness. Lord, you are a God that's faithful to all generations. And there's no way that we can even understand or comprehend how faithful you've been, Lord, even when we've been faithless. Lord, your word says, when we are not faithful, you're still faithful, God. And so we praise you for that. We worship you for that because you are the faithful God. Thank you that you are with us in the waiting, that you invite us to slow down. Thanks for that little image that Khalil gave us of sitting at the stop sign. And Lord, I pray that you open our eyes to see what's right before us at that stop sign when it's so easy to look past that and just wait for it to turn green, like Khalil said, but to realize that you put us there for a purpose. And it's not just to wait around until the next thing comes around, but it's to be present and to be noticing what you're doing. Lord, I pray that as each of us go through the rest of this week, with the different things that we have to take care of, our responsibilities, our dreams, our desires, or that you would just walk with us faithfully like you always do, that you would begin to stir new songs, that you would begin to reawaken old songs, Lord, that ultimately it would all just overflow as an act of worship. I just pray that your spirit would go with us, Lord, as we move on from this call. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Of
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Nate.
Nate.
course. See you guys.
Bye. It was nice meeting everybody.
Nice to meet y'all.